Boop, boop, boop. There we are. Make sure that everything's working. Test, test. Yeah, the sound is good. Make sure that everything's working. Cool. We're live. We're doing this, people. We are live on the weekly BrYangle Report. It's just about 5 o'clock. We got a couple of minutes. Just wanted to sign in and make sure everything was working before I start the actual conversation. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free. Let us know. The comments are right here in front of me. I will see everything that is said. We've got a couple people here in the audience watching today. Thank you very much. It's going to be a fun conversation. We're going to talk about printing and all the things you can do with your images that you've made for so many years. Again, any questions, let us know, but there will be a Q&A section just in a few minutes toward the end of our half-hour conversation that you can chime in. We can have that banter back and forth and get into all the details. But before we get into that, I'm just going to pause for a minute, let some people tune in. If you'd like to watch, let that happen, and I'm just going to step away, and we'll be back in just a moment. Back up here. There we are. Back. All right. Fun conversation today. It'll be different. I have some cool spy information today. Some scoops, so to speak. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly BrYangle Report. My name is Brian Weiss. I work here at Newmarket Henry's Camera. I've been here for a little while, so any questions that you have, hopefully I can answer them. If I can't, my colleague Juan is watching on the other side of the store over there. You might see him chime in from here or there. If you have any questions and I don't see them, he will reply, or he'll at least cue me to the question. So keep that conversation going with me, everybody. Love to hear what you have to say during today's chat. Just some reminders, if the video freezes or if it cuts out or something like that, hang tight. What most likely would happen is our OBS program here would crash and then I have to reopen it and it'll come right back on. So if I do disappear, don't disappear on me, hang out, and I'll be right back for that. All right, don't forget the whole show, it's really broken down to a couple different segments. We have our Digiknow, quick tips. Hey, did you know? Digital know-how. Weird like that. We have what's new and used in the industry, and that's where we're going to get into some pretty cool stuff tonight. And then I'm going to get into our core conversation, which is going to be printing and all the cool things that you can do with your camera, whether it's a cell phone or this camera here, or different options to do prints of all different kinds. So I really hope you guys enjoy our conversation today. And again, I really, really encourage people to communicate with us during the show. Ask us questions. Say hi if you want to. Don is watching. Thank you. You can hear great. Fantastic. Jerry, hello to you. And again, I'm going to see those comments and everything that you have to say right away. So feel free to get in touch with me. All right. Everything looks to be working well. All right, good. Let's get into this conversation, guys. So first, I'm going to get into the Digiknow. And Digiknows are just a quick tip. A really quick, simple thing that some people don't know about, or maybe do know about. The tip for today is factory reset. I know it sounds obvious. You ever have a tech question, you call your tech supporter, he says, did you turn the camera on and off? It's one of those kinds of things, right? Sometimes your camera just gets confused. You don't know why. It's doing something you don't understand. There's a quick way of getting past that. And that is called your factory reset. Every camera has it. Doesn't matter how old your camera can be, it'll have the factory reset in there somewhere. Some cameras are doing it differently. In a Canon, you go into the menu and there's a couple options that you can reset. In a Nikon, they make it very straightforward. There's two buttons on the camera with a little green dot next to them. You hold those two buttons down for a couple seconds, you'll see your display blink, factory reset. So anytime you run into a situation, your focus is working weird, or something is kind of acting funky and you don't know why, there's a ghost in the machine, so to speak, factory reset will take it all back to scratch. Now, the plus side is usually that fixes these problems. You don't know how they occurred. The downside is you'll have to reprogram everything you have in your camera. So if you have all your presets already in there, your color settings, or you're shooting in RAW, not JPEG, or any of these other little modes that you've changed, you'll have to go back and reprogram those. So what some people will do is they'll make a list of all these changes they've made as they make them. Just make a quick little note and keep that in a little book in your camera bag. And anytime you make a factory reset, you can just go back, grab your little book, put those changes back the way you had them, make it nice and quick. At least for the first couple of times you have to do that. After that, you'll remember the changes well enough, and it'll be very straightforward. So if you ever run into a snag with your camera, you're confused, you don't know how it's going to work, you can't run into our store and get help right away, factory reset, see how that goes. And if it doesn't work, we'll see you in the store, and we'll help you get through that mess ourselves. All right, what's new and used? Okay, so new and used, during this segment, I want to be talking about either something that's new in the industry, a new product that's going to be announced, or something along those lines. What's used is the same type of deal. It's either a used product that we have in the store or something that is used in the industry and important for us as professional photographers to get use out of. Today, the what's new part of things is the bigger part of our conversation. What's used, I'll do that one first. We got a huge shipment on Tuesday, yesterday, of used equipment. And I'm talking the biggest shipment we've had since before COVID. Our cabinet is full for Nikon, Canon, both. We have quite a bit of Sony that we just got in. So for the used side of things, I'm just going to suggest if you're looking for a good deal on an SLR product, we have a couple mirrorless in that range too. But a lot of people are still wanting the SLR, the older style interchangeable lens with the mirror and so on. We have some great deals on that stuff. And with used equipment, it's really fun that we can talk about it. We can play with it. You can buy warranties on it. And it's really a lot more effective or cost effective for you. So for the used side of things, come check out our used selection. We just got a ton of new stuff. For the new side, this is where it's going to get interesting. I'm starting a new segment. It's called Simon Says. Simon says all kinds of cool things. Simon Yates is a friend of mine, a friend of our stores. He runs the podcast, The Ordinary Filmmaker. And he does all kinds of scoops and all kinds of, tips on what's coming out next. And he does videos all the time. He has all these contacts in the industry to find out what's about to be released. On our first show, we had a gentleman asking about a new Nikon camera. And I didn't even know it was a thing. So I'm going to roll this Simon Says part into our show to hopefully give some viewers insight into what's coming out next. Each week, he's going to give me a tip, something that I didn't know about, something that's new to the industry that I can talk about on the show, and that could be a lot of fun for people. This week's Simon Says is a scoop on the Canon R1. Some people know that the R1 is a pro model. It's going to be coming out from Canon. It's going to be announced very soon. He's told me that the R1 officially will be announced. It should be in the hands of photographers by the time of the Olympics. So that's a pro sports camera, and that's something that's, again, they test these things out with Olympic photographers. So Simon's saying that this camera is going to be in the hands, hopefully in time for the Olympics. And as far as consumers go, you and me both, we might have access to these cameras, hopefully by the end of summer. Again, this is rumor stuff, guys. This is not something from Henry's. This is rumor from the Ordinary Filmmakers podcast and YouTube channel. I highly recommend you check out his videos. One other thing he mentioned to me is the focusing system on this camera he's predicting is going to be so different. It's going to be aided by AI. It's going to be an AI-enhanced autofocus system. And he thinks that that's going to be able to track, if you're shooting sports like a basketball game, it'll track the player with the ball. You tell it to follow the ball, and it will follow the ball. So it's different than eye detection or any of those other things. And apparently it'll also ignore anything else that gets in the way. So if I have the ball and I throw it to somebody else, that will follow to them. And if somebody gets in the way of them, it'll stay on that person with the ball. So things like that are starting to come around the corner in AI-aided technology. And I think Canon is really going to jump on that feature. So thank you, Simon, for that little tip. And again, these are rumors. Whether it happens or not, we will see. If you want to find out more about that, go to the Ordinary Filmmakers YouTube channel and you can find out more information. For example, at 3 a.m. tonight, tomorrow morning, Simon's releasing a whole video on the R5 Mark II specifications. What he suggests are going to be the specifications. And this is information that he's got through his sources. So if you're curious about the next generation Canon R5 Mark II, 3 a.m. tonight, tomorrow morning, check out Simon's podcast on that, or his video. Next thing in the what's new is we're going to the Orangeville Rodeo. I've talked about this on last week's show. I'm going to just remind folks right now, if you have any questions or you want to register for this workshop, I got the email right below, right about here. Check that out and send us an email, newmarket@henrys.com. Let us know you're interested in coming to this rodeo event. It's going to be a full 1-hour photo class at 10:30 in the morning. After the photo class, you're going to chill, walk around, go into the shoots, go into the behind the scenes areas with Norm Betts, who is the staff photographer for the rodeo. He's also the photographer that shot the Toronto Star Page 3 Girls for years, or Toronto Sun, the Sunshine Girl. Yeah, Norm's been around a while, and the guy's just a blast, and he's going to give us some special access at this rodeo. So from 10:30 till about 3 p.m., there's going to be all kinds of stuff that we're going to be doing at the Orangeville Rodeo. That is June the 9th. It's on a Sunday, and it's going to be an official Henry's workshop at the location. All you got to do is pay for your admission into the rodeo, and the workshop and the Henry stuff is all free. So I hope people register for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's it for the new and used. Before I get into the core conversation, I'm just going to run here and see if there's any comments that I've missed. Juan, did I miss anything? Looking good so far. Thanks, buddy. Hello, Mims. I see you're watching. Oh, good. Juan, you're giving me some tips on the AI stuff. That's really great. Thanks, man. All right, let's get to the core conversation. Printing. It's so funny that our guests here today were in here doing printing on our kiosk. And we were talking about, we don't print anymore. You have all these photos and people aren't printing. So that's literally the reason I started this or wanted to do this episode today. So many people come in like, can I print? Can I print from a phone? Can I print from a USB stick? Yes. Any digital media you have, you can print from these days, up to an 8x12 in our store. The quality is fantastic. I don't know if a lot of people watching have printed at the Walmart printers or some of these other kiosks, the old Kodak kiosks. They use a ribbon of ink with red, green, blue colors on it. It does one run, pulls it back in, prints again, pulls it back in. It's dye sublimation printing. The machine we have has 6 individual color cartridges, just like any real printer would, a photo printer. So when you make those prints, you're getting color back that's bold and vivid and vibrant and looks great, and the detail is fantastic. There's not a lot of adjusting you can do in our kiosks. And by the way, all these prints are from the kiosk itself. It's actual Fuji paper that it prints on. It's a kind of a satin finish, luster finish. So the kiosk does a great job. If you'd rather get something on a canvas or glossy or different kinds of paper, that's where Henry's online photo finishing can help you out. Upload your photo to the Photo Center, Henry's Photo Center's website. You can choose any size. It's not limited to the 8x12 size that our kiosk is. So you can go up to 16x20, or you can print on metal, like this right here. It's actual metal. Beautiful prints like that, wall mountable. You could do canvas prints. It's a nice canvas wrap. Pricing and all of these things are all on the web for these higher end kind of print sources. But what I really want to talk about are standard prints. Most people printing 4x6s, 5x7s, even 8x10s. When you look at the difference in cost between coming into a store like ours or uploading online versus buying your own printer, you really have to ask yourself, do you need to print a lot, right? If you're going to be printing every once in a while, the kiosk is the way to go. If you want to do large format prints for a special occasion or a nice wall art, again, online photo services are fantastic. But if you're looking to print more regularly or sell your prints or use them as a source of income, even just if you love to print and you have a lot of walls in your house, get a really good home printer. Something like what printed this shot here. Now, this was printed years ago. This was printed pretty much when I shot this event, and that was a good 8-9 years ago that I printed this photo. Maybe not even 8-9, maybe 7 or 8, let's just say. 6 to 8. I don't remember exactly. But the print quality looks the same today as the day I printed it. It was printed on an archival quality printer, the Canon Pro 10 it was at the time. The replacement of the Pro 10 is the Pro 300, the same one that we have in our store today. The printers sell for about $1,000. They're not cheap, but it'll do a 13 by 19. High-end printing, 10 ink cartridges, archival quality, meaning it's not going to fade in the sun. It's going to hold that color for 100 years and not wear away over time. Some of the cheaper printers that you'll get, inkjet, not inkjet, but like laser printers and so on, they look good and you can get high volume of prints from them for your money. But those are not going to wear the same. It's not going to last you under the sun conditions. It'll turn yellow and it'll give you all these other issues. So be aware when you're buying a printer, why are you buying the printer? Is it for high-end photo prints? Are you wanting just 4x6 prints? And you can buy those little Canon selfie printers where you can print from your cell phone or you can print from any Wi-Fi device or a memory card. Pop it in and run off 4x6s all you want. Or do you want to print 8x10s or larger where you can buy kind of all-in-one printers sometimes that'll scan and copy and fax and do all those things. Usually the all-in-one printers aren't photo printers. You have a black cartridge and you have a color cartridge and they're not doing the same quality as a photo printer would with all these individual cartridges. So I think the ultimate thing is you have to ask yourself, how important is that printing process to you, right? Also, what photos are you printing? What medium are you using? Are you printing from a cell phone? Are you printing from your camera? Are you printing from film, right? A lot of people are shooting film these days. So bringing a film into our store and sending it out for print, what size do you want it? 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, you can make those choices. Or would you rather just take those digital files that we give you when you send a photo out for print and print on our kiosk? That's what a lot of people are doing these days. They're getting their photos developed. We send you an email with all your high resolution scans. They load those photos to their phone or to a USB stick, come in and make all your prints, just the ones you want, not necessarily every photo that you shot, right? And because film is so huge right now, you gotta, I mean, everybody is trying to print on these things, right? But without those digital negatives, it's gonna be hard. We're not returning negatives anymore, the film strips. So some people back in the day would take those things and scan them and do that themselves. We're making it easier for you. Your own printer comes with some issues though. If you're gonna be having a higher end printer like a Pro 300, you may have to do some maintenance, right? Your colors may not look as accurate as you hoped they would. Every screen you use to edit on is going to look a little different. You walk into a Best Buy and there's 20 TVs, they all look different, right? So there's a term called calibration. If you're going to home print, it's a really good idea to calibrate your printer and your monitor that you use. This monitor that I have here at the store is my monitor that I brought and left here because it was the first monitor I bought when I got this little Mac Mini. You have to buy a monitor separate. And it was horrible. I couldn't edit with it. The photos were always looking different. No matter what I did on the screen, it wouldn't render my pictures to print the same. So I had to invest a lot of money in a higher end printer or monitor, and that's the one I have at home. If I were to buy the Pro 300 printer and take that home and make a print, it would still look different than what my screen looked like until I calibrated them. And you do that by buying a dongle, Data Color Spider, or Color Monkey. There's different devices. It's a dongle that mounts to the front of your screen. The screen sends out a pattern of colors to the dongle, which teaches the software what color should be. Ferrari red is Ferrari red. Coca-Cola red is Coca-Cola red. They look different. So by calibrating first your screen and then running a print off and using their higher end calibrations that will scan the print and feed that information back, and the paper profile, is it a glossy paper? Is it a matte paper? The reflectiveness of the paper determines how much ink is put on the paper, right? So when you calibrate the printer as well as the monitor, now you're printing accurate color. What you see on your screen will come out looking exactly the same. When you come into our store and use our kiosk, you're gonna have a color shift. Any kiosk, any online, unless you're calibrated. So if you're gonna be getting into printing, especially home printing, also plan to invest in proper calibration software, because that's going to make all the difference in the world. Now, paper-wise, there's so many different kinds of papers you can get. You can get 4x6 paper. You can do 5x7, kind of a size. I don't think I have any 4x6s here. Oh, I have a 4-inch square, right? So there's all kinds of different sizes you can print on. What I usually recommend, if you don't really know the kind of paper you want to print on, pick up a sampler pack to start with when you buy your paper. It doesn't have to be the 13x19 size if you buy that size of printer. You can buy a smaller sample pack. Find the paper that speaks your language. It sounds weird, but I actually, when I had a printer at home, I had a lot of sample papers. Working here, we get samples and so on. So I had like sample packs of Hahnemühle and Canson and the Canon paper and the Epson papers. And every once in a while, I would look through the paper and find a texture or a really cool material that I liked. And I would think of what photo do I want to print on this paper. Other people do it the other way around, where you think, I have a beautiful photo, like this rodeo. I want to print this on a luster paper or a glossy paper to make it pop a little bit. Or a really cool picture of a car where you can print it on a metallic paper, which is really fun. When you have these options at home, it just opens you up to be as creative as you want to be. Now, pricing. This is where it's going to get kind of interesting. I've got a little graph up here that I'm going to pull up onto my screen. And here we go. This is the pricing from Henry's. If you're going to be pricing or making prints on Henry's online, you can see that you've got 4x6 up to 12 to 18, 12 by 18 size. Let's see if I can interact with this. There we are. 12 by 18. And there's all different print materials you can use. There's a matte, there's glossy, you can do borderless or bordered. You can do bulk pricing, so if you order more than 100 prints, you get a much better price on some of these sizes. But then there's also panoramic printing sizes. And you can choose the different papers, matte or glossy, for that as well. Price per print is a lot less, obviously, when you have a lab do this stuff for you. But are you getting what you want? Are you getting exactly the color? Are you getting exactly the information you're trying to get? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself before you decide what printing you want to get into. All right, let's bring myself back up here. Here we go. All right, so let me just see if there's any questions here. Done. As you know, I enjoy my night sky moon photography. I like to stop by every so often, say hello to everyone, and print a few of those images. Yeah, I was actually there last Saturday. Cool. Don has some great moon shots, and he does some great work. In fact, I know Don well from his other photography as well. Like, he does some great landscape work and really good at editing as well. He made a poster for one of my photo challenges a while ago, which is awesome. I still love it. I have it up at home. Yeah, when you make a print, it makes something more permanent. My friend Ross always said that it's not actually a photo until you have it in print, because then you can really see it, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people are pixel peepers, and they'll look at their pictures on their TV or their screen, and they'll get all upset about high ISO. When you make a print, you're not looking at it here, right? You're not staring at your prints right here. They're further back. You get to observe them. You get to look at them differently. Really, pay attention to the subtle details a little bit better, without having to over focus on digital noise or any of these things. Sometimes noise helps with a print, and it looks really interesting. My mother is there. She's asking, how do I rate the Epson photo printers? I think Epson's great. My top two are Epson or Canon, no particular order. A lot of the Epson printers, you can do roll paper, where the Canon, you can't necessarily put a roll of paper in. You know what I mean by a roll? You can go limitless, so do those long panorama prints, right? There's a little mechanism on the back of the printer. You fold the thing down, you stick the roll in, and you can make a long panorama, which is really fun. But yeah, in general, between the Epsons and the Canons, I think the only major difference is with Canon, they purge their heads a little bit more, so they'll last longer if they're just sitting dormant for 6 months. Whereas the Epsons, there might be a little bit more issue with clogged heads, but that could be changed. A lot of technology has changed recently, and don't count my word on that particular thing. We haven't had Epsons in our store for a little while, unfortunately, so I haven't had too much experience with the new P600, P400s, aside from my colleagues who run t-shirt printing businesses, and they use the P400 all the time for their printing. So excellent workhorse of a printer. Yeah, I would absolutely endorse the Epson ones. And Canon, those are my top two. I wouldn't necessarily go to HP or something like that. I find that they are not necessarily the same quality, but I'm not the service guy here, so I don't know all those ins and outs. All right. So if there's any questions about printing, please let me know. Otherwise, we got a few minutes left. I've got a couple more things I want to talk about. First off, in Newmarket, if you want to print something larger than what we have to offer, or, you know, a commercial application where you want to print something like a wall mural or something, we also recommend a couple print labs that are in Newmarket. One of them is called TPH. They're just on the other side of town. They do some great work. There's a link right here, which I can put on our chat for anybody who's interested. Here's the link to TPH, posted in the chat of our conversation. And there's another one, really good one, called Print 3 in Newmarket. They do t-shirts and shirts and clothes and all kinds of different materials. They do a great job as well for some larger murals and larger prints, or for large format printing in general, like really, really big prints. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. And then, of course, the last one I want to add to the chat is the one that I like the most. And that's the one I think you have the most flexibility with, because you're dealing with us, and that's the Henry's Photo Center. If you go to this website that I'm putting in the chat now, you'll see all of the services that Henry's has, including mugs and mugs and other things like little boards like this, little stand-up little prints, also on metal, little 4-inch or 6-inch round prints, and possibly the coolest thing of all, the photo books. This is one that we did here with our own images. I think the quality of the paper is incredible. This book has been on display since before COVID, so that's what, 4 years and a little bit, maybe 5 or 6 years this has been on display. And the colors haven't faded at all. The binding has, because we sit it up in a weird way. But what's cool about these books is they're lay flat, which means that if you have a photo that takes up the whole thing, it's all flat and it's just seamless right across the seam in the center. So these books are excellent. You can find these all in the Henry's Photo Center as well. For those who didn't know, we printed and print quite well. Yeah, these are all images of our employees too, by the way. So. Sweet. Yeah, printing is really not done as much as I think people should do. And I don't think people feel confident with what's out there for printing, especially to buy your own stuff and to have to do it at home. You're looking at about $20 per color times 10 colors for these higher end printers. You go through maybe 2 or 3 at a time, so you're not replacing all of them at once. But, you know, you figure, you know, $40, $60, $100 every time you want to replace your inks. But I've had some people say they've gotten dozens of prints from these bigger size prints like that. So it could end up paying off in the long run, depending on how much you print, which is why I started the whole conversation saying, depending on what you use it for. A home printer may be the way to go. A laser printer may be the way to go if you're doing documents and tons of volume. A proper photo printer is what I would recommend. Inkjet is really what I would suggest. Canon or Epson, either one would be great. And if you want to do printing in a store, you don't want to bother, there's a lot of other services. One being Henry's just started something called Printacular. It's an app you download on your phone. Lots of people have this Printacular app. And once you download that app, you can actually be anywhere and just hit print. And I will get a notification here in the store. I hit a button and it prints on the kiosk. And then all you got to do is come in and pick it up. So there's that as a new service that Henry's just started. Awesome. All right, well, that's mostly the conversation. If there are no more questions in the Q&A, then I'm going to get into the final bits and pieces of our chat. And that is the photo challenge. For those of you who remembered, last month our photo challenge was Back to Black. We got some pretty cool photos for that. We talked about that in the first week of, or the first photo, or first show, I should say, of this month, which was May 1st on a Wednesday. The challenge for May is Mad World. Interpret it however you'd like. That's the whole point of a photo challenge is, A, we want you to make a new photo for this challenge, not pull something out of your database that you think applies. We're trying to get people making photos, being creative and thinking differently, maybe thinking outside the box a little bit. B, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is real. We're doing a raffle here in the store for our mental health awareness CMHAs who we're raising money for now. And the raffle is good toward either one of my BrYangle workshops, which is valued at $250, one of Aurora, our store manager's portrait sessions, which is also valued at $250. I've got one of my prints, which is the tanning room, printed on a larger size print that we have over for part of this raffle as well. We have one of Aurora's prints, which is a really cool print of a rose. My friend Daniel is doing a workshop here on mobile Photoshop. Every $10 donation will get you into that. So for each donation you make, $1 is $1 toward a ballot. So if you donate 10 bucks, you get 10 ballots, and so on and so forth. You can pick and choose whatever you want to donate that towards. And at the end of our term, we're going to announce the winners of those things and give that stuff out. So somebody can win a full BrYangle workshop. It's a 3-hour photo class of all the fundamentals you need to learn, or get a portrait session with your wife or your family or whatever you want to do. So could be a lot of fun. And it also helps the Canadian Mental Health Association, which is something we are very passionate about here at Henry's. So Mad World also goes with that theme. You know, it is a mad world, and how you interpret this photo challenge theme, totally up to you. All your photos that you make for it, submit them to newmarket@henrys.com. I'm going to pull that back up here so you can see, yoink, right here. And just send that to newmarket@henrys.com. I've got my email up there as well if you want to email me directly. But Mad World is the photo theme. Can't wait to see what people do for that. Now, of course, as I sign out for the day, I want to remind folks, I'm just a guy that works here. I love photography. I've been here for such a long time. For some reason, I thought I should do a little show about it. So if I say anything that you don't quite agree with, please let us know. I'd love to hear your opinion. This whole point of a community conversation is literally just to have conversation back and forth, not to be the only people talking in the room, so to speak. So please let us know if you have any questions. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, maybe you have a quick Digiknow, something that you've learned in your travels that you think is a quick tip that everybody should know. Let me know about that. Maybe you have something new or used that you want to discuss with us or have us discuss. Maybe you have a cool concept of a show, something that you've always wanted to learn about and you want us to kind of get you there a little bit. Or even you have a cool photo challenge theme idea. Let us know. This is a community show. I'd love to get feedback from everybody. And I really appreciate everybody who's taken the time to be here and talk with us today. Let's see, we got Mike is here. He says, I'm going to have to give Henry photo books a look. I've done books in the past, but not from Henry's. Actually, the online interface is quite straightforward. It's a drag and drop, and you can move things around. So yeah, I do encourage you to do that. Also, if you have questions using any of the online services I've talked about from Henry's, right in the lower right corner of the Henry's webpage, there's a little chat bubble. My friend John or Scott or any of the guys that work at our customer support are there waiting to help you. So any questions at all, use that chat bubble, talk to the guys in our customer support, and they can guide you along if you need it. All right. Steve, hello. Jerry, thank you very much. Informative session. I'm glad. That's what we try and do. You know, I want to make sure that there's a benefit to watching. And sometimes it's the conversation, and sometimes it's just one little nugget that you didn't expect to hear. Mike, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys all for being here. I'm going to sign out for the day. It is 5:31. We've been here for a half an hour, and we're done. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.